He was ducking me, but it is what it is, and I'm gonna move on. Like I said, I'm gonna go up to 135, just beat the shit out of Frank Martin, take Errol Spence money, and then go on from there.
Hey, yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's going on? So, talks have really been heating up with Frank Martin and Chris Colbert. We all know that Errol Spence facilitated this fight after Frank Martin's performance versus Jackson Marinez, which was a very good fight and a great ending for Frank Martin. He found a way to get him up out of there, man. Made adjustments throughout the fight, was steadfast, and really put on a really good performance. And, you know, Chris Colbert being the type of guy that he is, very talkative, very boastful, confident, brash, and just talk a lot of shit, man. And, you know, he was talking a little greasy, and Errol Spence was like, hey, you feel me? Frank Martin really liked that. The same shit that he said after Keyshawn Davis had fought. You know what I'm saying? He was like, Frank Martin really liked that. You really don't want it with my boy Frank Martin. What's good? You know what I'm saying? We can make that fight happen, man, down promotions. And, you know, Chris Colbert on social media, he said, shit, what's up? I'm with it. He actually made a wager with Errol Spence, like you saw at the beginning of this video. Chris Colbert say, you know, he gonna go up to 135, knock out Frank Martin, and take Errol Spence money. So I love that competitive spirit. You know, Chris Colbert believes in himself, even coming off of a loss versus Garcia, who stepped in at last minute. I think it was like 1 week, 2 weeks. I understand how it could be, how, you know, you could take a guy like that for granted and not prepare. You know, that's not the mindset of a true champion or a real fighter, but I can understand how somebody can slip like that. You know, you're not fighting the guy that you've been training for months, and you know, you have this new guy coming in who's actually a formidable opponent, and you didn't do your homework and your research on him, and you go in there thinking it's sweet, and you get your ass whooped, which is what happened with Chris Colbert versus Garcia in that fight. You know, but he said that, hey, the better man won that night. He didn't take his opponent as serious as he should, and he's coming out with a vengeance. He want to show everybody that he's still who he said he was. And Chris Colbert got a lot of skill, man, a lot of natural ability, a lot of talent, a lot of athleticism, good punching power, fast hands. He's a fun fighter to watch when he's actually letting his hands go. And I think the matchup between he and Frank Martin is a great one. I love Frank Martin's game. Of course, he's coming up under the teachings of the great Derrick James and the mentorship of a fighter like Errol Spence, who is an incredible fighter in his own right. And I think Frank Martin, with him being the type of person that he is, he's a sponge. He don't really say too much. He soak up a lot of game, very coachable guy. All Derrick James fighters are really coachable. And I think that's one of the best attributes that you can have as a fighter when you got a great coach, to be coachable, to be able to be receptive to the knowledge and information that you're getting, so you can actually take that out on fight night and do what you did in the gym and transfer that to the ring. A lot of fighters don't know how to do that. A lot of fighters do all this training and shit, hit all these mitts, hit the heavy bag, but then when they get in the ring, you don't see none of the shit that they were showing you on the training videos and shit. But when you see guys like Errol Spence and Frank Martin, when they get in the ring, you see all of the shit that they really been working on in the gym. That's how it's supposed to be. And Frank Martin has a lot of natural ability himself, good timing, really good punching power, nice hand speed, good foot movement. He's athletically gifted, and he's a physically strong guy. So I think it's a great matchup. I think it's a great challenge for both guys. I think they're, you know, even though I favor Frank Martin in the match, I think Chris Colbert is going to bring some things to the table that will challenge Frank Martin, like the hand speed, like the athleticism. How does he deal with a guy that can move and, you know, get to certain spots that Frank Martin can get to? You know what I'm saying? How do you deal with a guy that has some really good boxing ability like Chris Colbert, who got good counterpunching ability, who got nice punching power? With Frank Martin, I think the challenges that he presents to Chris Colbert are obvious and clear. The timing, the boxing IQ, the ring IQ, the fact that he got Derrick James that's going to be able to formulate a great game plan for him and take advantage of Chris Colbert's weaknesses. How do you make adjustments when they come out and showing you that they got you figured out? You know what I'm saying? You know, when the fight goes the late distances, you know, who gonna be able to make the most adjustments? I think there's clear advantages and challenges that Frank Martin brings to the table for Chris Colbert, and that's what make this fight interesting to me. And the fact that there's a wager on the line between Frank Martin's promoter and Chris Colbert. You dig what I'm saying? So I love fights that have a little bit of history to them, a storyline, some trash talk here and there, all in the name of good, clean, competitive spirit. And, you know, these are two highly skilled Black American fighters that bring that flair to the game. You know what I'm saying? These type of fights are always fun to watch. So I am excited about this fight actually happening. I think, in my opinion, the reason why we haven't got a date on it, the hold up, is because they really want this fight on the Errol Spence. They wanted it on Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford's undercard. They really wanted this fight on Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford's undercard. But now that Terrence Crawford has maneuvered his way out of the situation, Errol Spence will likely have to fight somebody else, maybe an Imantas Stanionis, and to defend his WBA title as the Imantas Stanionis is the regular champion. Errol Spence is the super champion. If Errol Spence does stay at 147 for another fight, it would be versus Stanionis. Or if they can make the Virgil Ortiz fight, which would be even bigger, because Virgil Ortiz versus Errol Spence in Texas at Cowboy Stadium is a huge fight. It easily puts 50,000 people in there, 45,000 minimum. But I think they can easily get 50,000 people in there, man. And that's a great fight. That's a great fight. Stylistically, the action, Virgil Ortiz has some similarities to Errol Spence. Virgil Ortiz was actually a youngster in a gym that Errol Spence first came up in here in Texas, man. And that's a great fight. That's a great fight. And to be able to have this fight on that undercard would be huge for both Frank Martin and for Chris Colbert. So I think that's what's holding this fight up, because they really want that. Errol Spence wants that fight on his undercard so he can, you know, put his guy on that platform to get that type of exposure. So I want to know what y'all think about this fight, man. And are y'all as excited about seeing this fight as I am? And I'm just really hoping personally that we can get something for Errol Spence ASAP so this fight can come along, because I really believe that they are adamant about putting this Frank Martin and Chris Colbert fight on Errol Spence's next undercard so they can promote it in conjunction and you know, give these guys the platform that they need so people can really see this talent. Because I think Chris Colbert is a big talent, and Frank Martin is definitely a big talent. I think this would be, that night will be a time to shine for Frank Martin. Make it the co-main event. That night will be a great time for Frank Martin to shine and really let everybody see what he can do, man, because that's all he missing. He's been, you know, having some good performances, you know, been putting together some nice, you know, just some really nice performances, man, and consistency in the ring. So all he needs is just that exposure for people to see, okay, this what it is. And Keyshawn Davis, you know, hopefully he pull up to the fight. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he's willing to accept the fight. I know he's only 6-0. I'm just 6-0. Leave me alone. I'm just a prospect. I'm 6-0. But you talking like you a champion though. So hopefully he's open and willing to fight a Frank Martin if Frank Martin is successful versus Chris Colbert. So y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender regime boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.